Show you.
There you go.
All right.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Good morning. Rolling, is that too dark?
No, it's good.
Very short.
Yep.
Anybody's afraid of the dark, let me know. Hi, everyone.
Hello. Oh, sorry, I gotta close that up.
That would really extend this meeting.
You love to yourself.
Thank you. And so much so that, so I'm going to cut out a bit early and so when I stand up and walk out of here, Chris and Laura will continue on if we're not done by then. I'm going to go, I get to accompany the mayor at the Chamber's YP luncheon. I'm supposed to be there with, I'm the liaison for the YP. And so before you all laugh at me, I am a YP still claim status to young freshman. I'm on the car, put on the black paint and get in there with the YPs and mix it up. We'll see what happens. So until someone younger or YP-ish comes along, I'll be the liaison for the city. Good morning, everyone. This is a place where regionally we are supposed to be friends, know each other, figure out how to partner, build a social infrastructure so that our region is stronger and better planned and more competitive and creates a thriving community for everyone that lives here and that will live here but don't know it yet. Please observe the Nebraska Open Meetings Act. This is a public meeting. Be mindful of the things you say. I was going to ask for your social security number today as we go around and introduce ourselves, but Laura reminded me that that's not a good idea. So instead, we'll do quick intros, and as you introduce yourself, and for who you are, what you do, where you work, just a quick statement on what is a small thing that instantly makes you happy or brings you joy. Just weigh in on that. As you move into the weekend, it's time to think about those chances to recharge for those of us who don't work on the weekend usually. So get that going, think about that. And we'll get right into the business after that. And so Evan, you start, but do we have quorum?
I don't know, yeah, well,
Más una media hora, nada más unos 15 minutitos en lo que yo hago mi introducción. 15 minutitos, ¿no?
Saul is on, okay.
I'm gonna mute it.
Evan.
All right, Evan Schweitz, guest today with Metro Transit. Something that brings me joy. Well, this weekend, Open Omaha.
Yes.
Looking forward to taking my kids to a couple of cool places, including Metro. So that'll be good.
Key Station, Mayor Ewing's office, City of Omaha. I am something small that instantly brings me joy is my daughter, my 7-year-old is really into art. She creates these cat pictures and the detail that she puts into it is so beautiful that when she brings it to me and shows me, it just makes me laugh and she loves it. So that makes me happy. So I have about 50 pictures of cats of all kinds in my home. So, and we don't hunt cat, by the way.
My name is Brian Lotus. I'm with the City of Omaha Public Works Department, Design Division Manager. Something that brings me joy. So we got a new dog about 6 months ago, and every time I come home and things so happy to see me, it's just I just smile whenever I go home. Anyway,
What's the name?
Hazel.
Hazel, get that in a minute. So. Laura?
Laura Dietrich, Planning and Zoning Coordinator for Douglas County. I really like a good cup of coffee that brings me joy. And when I'm sharing it with a good friend, that's even better.
Nice. Are you caffeinated this morning?
Very.
Very.
Thank you.
Terry is in person today. And
Yes.
Terry's in human. Good to see you.
Terry Honk, MOAC, Collaborative of All Public Schools, Higher Education in Douglas and Sarpy County. My joy is speaking to my grandchildren.
Pretty blessed with business development at MUD. Things that bring me joy is a nice meal and sitting down and watch a movie.
I'm playing with the city of Pavilion, and right now it's watching my pumpkins grow a little bit every day. After work, I come check the garden, I'm like, a little bigger.
Tammy Palm, Bellevue Planning Director. What gives me joy is tomorrow I have nothing on my calendar, so I'm looking forward to
I mean, that was almost our question. Is what you got going tomorrow, and you have 0. I love that.
I don't have anything tomorrow, so I'm very happy about that.
Outstanding. Caleb, do you still have a name tag?
I don't. Michaela Valentine. I'm sitting in for
You can have
Christmas.
you want Chris's name tag?
No, I'll be myself today.
Welcome back.
But thank you, Keith. I appreciate that. It brings me joy to see friendly faces here. I haven't been here for a while. I've been doing some other government affairs work and some legal work for OPPDs, so I'm back and I'm happy to see you.
Mike Jensen, I am with City of Plattsmouth. I made the move about a year ago and very happy. What brings me joy, I'm probably have to see the grandkids and tomorrow we're planning on going to the Cass County Fair down there, so.
Get some fried, some deep fried stuff, Mike.
Exactly. Fried Oreos, I think.
Good stuff.
Good stuff.
Mark Norman, I'm with the Greater Omaha Chamber as well as Mills County Economic Development. And what brings me joy, got a little tradition in our house that's called Mai Tai Friday. So Mai Tais bring me joy.
Very nice. My time Friday, I love that. Mark, are you coming to the YP luncheon with me?
I am not.
Okay.
I don't qualify for this.
I don't either, but you know.
Good morning, everybody. Lauren Sensick, I'm the CEO of Metro Transit. Something that brings me joy is the only thing I have on my calendar tomorrow, hanging out with friends at a party. So I'm very much looking forward to a day with no work and the social engagement. But I do need to piggyback a little bit on what you said, Keith. Although it's from, you mentioned about your daughter drawing designs, we do have an open call for student artwork right now for Wheel Appeal to design a bus with student artwork. Unfortunately, it won't be cats because you have to be at least 11 years old to participate, but applications are due August 31st. So I'm designing a bus for if you have any kids, age 11 or older.
Nice. Thanks for working that in, Lauren. Beautiful.
Chris Gibbons, Director of Community Development, City Council Bluffs. I always say fair is getting ready to start. That brings me joy every summer, really because it's like fall's almost here and that's football season. So it just goes 1, 2 days. So that brings me a lot of joy.
Mike Gutierrez, I'm coming from UNO in the College of Political Sciences with the Babies in Action internship program. I also have a son who loves to create art. He's been really into drawing. We took him to the Themis Center a couple weekends ago, and he's just been enthralled with that. And every day he's like, "Can we go back?" So it's nice to see him just explore different things he loves to do.
Nice for sharing that, Mike. That's actually where I'm going next, and so I'll see if there's some space for him, for young Gutierrez. Thanks for.
Well, we skipped Jeff, so.
Jeff, we'll kick it back to you. He wasn't ready. Jeff, what is a small thing that brings you joy?
Don't know, not right now.
All right.
Family and dogs, how about that?
Awesome. And Jeff, who are you, please?
Jeff Fireman, Community Development Director for the City of Blair. And this will be my last meeting. I will no longer be in the City of Blair next month. So.
Awesome. Well, congratulations.
Don't know even. Okay. TBD determined.
TBD.
You can still come visit. We'll take you, Jeff.
I might do that.
Laura Heilman, communications at MAPA, and I would say, the pools are still open for this last weekend, so I'm gonna hopefully try to hit that a couple more times.
Sue Cutsforth, Public Information Officer for MAPA. I'm gonna be riding the Rooster Tail ride on Wabash Trace Nature Trail tomorrow, and then also Sunday I get to take my granddaughters to the that exhibit, the Disney's Heroes and Villains costume exhibit at the Durham on Sunday, and they're really excited to go, which makes me really excited.
My name is Mo Ali Badi, CNO intern, and the one thing that brings me joy is finding a good show to binge watch.
Well, the team. What are you on now?
I think I'm on Tom Clancy, Jack Ryan right now.
All the guys. Oh, yeah.
What's the process?
Good morning, Grant Anderson, Community Development Manager at MAPA. You know, when you're at home and you go in the kitchen, you open the fridge or a cabinet and you see refined leftovers or some other food that you forgot about, that brings me joy.
Listen, I get that. I feel so seen right now. Thank you. I'm with you on that, Grant.
Carlos, Transportation Data Manager at MAPA. The thing that gives me some of the most joy right now is when I do actually come to work, because we've been remote due to construction. When I get home, we have 2 dogs and they're just so overjoyed to see it. And that just brings a lot of joy in my heart. So
That's awesome. That's awesome. I see a theme here. Okay, we won't go to the south yet. Mike, can you hear us?
I sure can.
When is dog day at MAPA? Because we got something going here.
Yeah. It won't be anytime soon, I don't think. Mike Helgerson with MAPA. Sorry, I couldn't be there today. I'm just such a big consumer of the City of Omaha's parks programs that I have to transport my kids up to Hummel this evening. But something brings me joy. It's kind of the end of summer. We're going to be getting together with friends and families this evening after that camp. And so looking forward to kind of closing out summer with that.
Good. Thank you. So.
Hello. You guys hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Well, Saul Lopez, Communications Project Coordinator for MAPA. Something that brings me joy. I think it is a good cup of coffee and having conversations with people around me. It could be at the office with my teammates or anywhere I might be at that point. So I'm enjoying a good cup of coffee this morning. Thank you.
Very good. Well, thank you. Do we get everyone? People, coffee, and dogs is, I think, is the theme of the day, and good shows. So the simple things in life. Remember that, y'all, and appreciate you all sharing that. Let's get started. But before we do, voting members, show of hand, please. I want to make sure we
We're at 13.
13?
Sorry, Keith.
Okay. All right. Well, I also want to check voting members real quick, just so we know who. Make sure
It's everybody for our guests and our staff.
For our guests. Well, if we get a couple more walk in here, we'll come back to the people of the June and April minutes. Otherwise, let's get to it. Evan, are you ready to rock?
Sure.
All yours.
And I've got a slide advancer here if you want to come grab it. Sorry.
That would be great. All right, yeah, again, Evan Schweitz, Senior Manager of Planning and Scheduling here at Metro Transit. Wanted to share a little bit, sorry.
No, that's okay. I'm like, oh, I forgot I have to share it for online. There we go.
Can you go full screen?
I don't know how to do that. You can. There we go. Okay, I remember that from board.
All right. Where to stay? So yeah, we at Metro have been doing a lot to kind of look at how to improve access for our riders and for the community overall. Metro Next, if you've heard of it, was our strategic plan from now until 2030 that guides the agency. And we've got some of the goals here listed, and the whole objective is to create better transit for a more connected region, very applicable to this board. But I wanted to kind of focus today on that purple third goal checkbox, providing an excellent travel experience. So when we were doing our engagement for Metro Next, we heard a lot from people, either people that use the bus now or are interested but have never taken the bus before. And a lot of what we heard in terms of what we need to work on has nothing to do with the buses, the routes, any of that we kind of conventionally view as transit service. It was all about what it feels like to be a pedestrian getting to the bus stop and what it feels like to wait at that stop. So in order to, now where do I have to point it?
Oh, no, it's probably, I put back in.
Okay.
Maybe.
Yep. So that led us to do an inventory of all of our bus stops. There's 2,100 of them citywide, region-wide, I guess I should say. So that was our staff going out with tablets, asking a series of 63 questions at every stop to better understand the context around our stops. So it took over 700 staff hours. 78% of those were reviewed by women, 30% were reviewed by people of color. Quick side story on that. So before we did any of this, me and a couple members of my team went to a transit conference in Phoenix. And one night we were taking the light rail and walking from that station back to the hotel. So it's dark out, Phoenix city, we don't really know. I pull out my phone, I look up the directions and I say, all right, it's this way, let's go. And as we're going, they're kind of cross-checking their phones. And the woman told me later that the route that it took, directed us to go, was a path that had like a couple of guys just kind of milling around on the street, maybe looked a little shady. And so she's like, if you weren't with me, I definitely wouldn't have gone that way. And then another guy, a black man, said, well, the direction we ended up walking was right through an area where there were police. And he's like, had I not been with you, I probably wouldn't have taken that path. I would have gone the other way. And so for me, somebody who really doesn't think about those things on a daily basis, I was able to just look at my phone, go directly where it told me, never felt unsafe. But that just kind of made us realize as a team that the perceived safety for our riders is very much dependent on their experience. So as we're looking at all these stops, we wanted to bring those perspectives into that lens of what does it feel like to be a woman at this stop? What does it feel like to be a person of color? And really kind of bringing all those layers in to better understand what our riders are feeling as they go to and from a bus stop. So we looked at sidewalks, crosswalks, lighting, you name it. Like I said, 63 questions at every stop. So very detailed information that we now have in the database. And so this is kind of the overall result of the stop audit that we did. So we kind of prioritized based on the inventory that we found, which stops should be addressed. And we happened to overlay that with the city's Vision Zero network. And it's really no surprise that the city's high injury network is in many cases aligned with where we're seeing bus stops that need improvement. So those shaded dots kind of indicate the areas of overlap. A couple other things that we found, 45% of our stops have no lighting. So that pie chart over there says half of our stops at night is going to be real dark. 49% have a street light within 10 feet, which is helpful. And then about 5% of the stops have lighting that's provided by us, whether through a transit center, shelter, that type of thing. And then we also, wanted to really hone in on our stops at transfer centers, because where two routes intersect, we know there's going to be higher likelihood of people crossing the street using those stops. They're a little bit more active than the typical stop. So about half of those have seating. Many of them don't have bike amenities. 47, it's like 20-ish%, 24% have trash cans. A lot of them don't have space for a physical bus shelter. And so we also looked like, is there somewhere to stand in the shade? Like, even if we can't put a physical structure there, 41 out of the 200 some had trees nearby. So we also wanted to look at bike amenities and kind of opportunities for coordination. So we've got a great trail network that's shown on this map here in green. And then the yellow dots indicate a bus stop that's actually along a bike lane. So we want to have awareness and coordination there. And so any of those purple stops highlighted are areas where we've got within a quarter mile some sort of bike facility that we'd like to connect to. And so that could be through bike share stations, bike racks, anything to encourage multimodal travel. Another thing that we looked at that really kind of rose to the top in terms of concerns was the condition of a sidewalk near bus stop. A lot of our passengers, they may be in a wheelchair, they may need a walker to walk with assistance or have a stroller. We saw a lot of heaving or sagging sidewalks or areas that were cracked and broken. And so the darker blue circle shows cracked or damaged sidewalk, and then the yellow or orange indicates either minor or major heaving or sagging. And typically the city's approach, and I think probably many cities approach it this way, is if there is a sidewalk deficiency, then you notify the property owner and say you have to bring this up to compliance. But what we found when we looked at the layer of low-income neighborhoods is that many of the cases where we would want to send out that alert, it's probably going to a low-income household that like really can't afford to upgrade that sidewalk. So thinking long-term, if we want to address this issue, we need to be finding ways to partner going after grant funds or something like that, so that we can make those improvements without just putting that burden on the local community. Let's see, so another thing that we were pretty mindful of is the nearest crossing of an intersection at each bus stop. So just to kind of orient people, so in this diagram, we've got the bus stopped here, and in most cases, a rider has to cross one direction or maybe both to get to their destination. And then for sure, if they didn't have to cross on their morning trip, when they come home in the afternoon, they're gonna have to catch the bus the opposite way. So they're definitely gonna be crossing the street at some point. So the perpendicular crossing is this north to south one shown in the image here. The parallel crossing is this east to west one. And so we were able to break down perpendicular versus parallel crossing conditions for all of those stops. And overall, most of those bus stops are at uncontrolled intersections with no crossing in either direction. So that red bar where it says uncontrolled with no perpendicular crosswalk, that means there's really no infrastructure there to help the rider to get to the other side. And then as we map that out, it's really distributed throughout the city. And we looked at whether there were different types of mobility barriers. So maybe there's no curb cut to allow, someone who needs a ramp across the street, if that's not present, or if there's other conditions like there's something physically blocking the ADA path. So someone in a wheelchair can't use the sidewalk that's there. Anything like that was marked as a mobility barrier. Then the other thing that we wanted to look at is at those placements of crossings, how many lanes is it? Because it's one thing to say, well, this isn't a great crossing, but it's a driveway or it's a 2-lane street. But when we're having people cross 6 lanes or more, that's pretty concerning, especially if the infrastructure is not very good quality. So on this map, the larger the circle, the more lanes that they have to cross. And in some cases, it may be 6 lanes one way and 2 lanes the other, which is why we've got those 2 different colored dots of different sizes. So another thing that we looked at was the ADA crosswalks near bus stops. So good news is 80% of them have the curb ramps. That's what is called a truncated dome for the engineers in the room. So it's that tactile signal that helps people know they're about to enter traffic. Unfortunately, many of them point into the intersection instead of into the crossing. So like for somebody who's visually impaired, that's supposed to be a cue of which way do I go as I enter the intersection. And so 54% of them don't point the same direction. And again, this is something that is technically legal. It meets all federal requirements. But in terms of a user, it's really not great. So we were able to learn a lot from Timothy Jefferson with the Nebraska Commission for the Blind and Visually Impaired. Great guy. He's one of our consistent riders. And he told a group of us like, hey, can I just go show you what I experience when I go to a bus stop? So he said, and this is a real life situation. He took us out there to a bus stop downtown and he said, don't help me. I'm going to cross the street on my own just to illustrate what I experience every day. And we stand there watching him as he goes straight into traffic because the physical cues that were present really weren't guiding him the proper direction. So other things that we looked at, vehicle conflicts near bus stops. So this could be like a business driveway or a residential driveway where when the bus is stopped serving passengers, there's that additional conflict that we are blocking the driveway access to a local business. Preferably that would not occur. As you can imagine, it creates just additional opportunities for conflict, as does on-street parking. So the purple dots show like an observed, as the surveyor was out, they said, yes, this is definitely going to be a problem. The kind of orange smaller dots are places where we said, it's not a problem now, but if somebody used that parking stall, it would obstruct us. So those types of things we wanted to be mindful Another thing that we found was that many of our stops over half have grass between the sidewalk and the curb. And from a pedestrian design perspective, like that's a good thing. We want that buffer so that you're not right up next to traffic. The challenge is at the place where the bus loads and unloads passengers, if it's bad weather, you're unloading them into a mud pit. Or if they are in a wheelchair or have any difficulty walking, it's an unstable surface for them. And so we also looked at if that grass is present, how wide is it? And so in all the observations that we found, typically it was about 3 to 4 feet wide.
And just to clarify, I mean, if it's less than a foot, I mean, if somebody is in a wheelchair mobility device, we'll have the ramp that can.
Yeah, the ramp would go
over
past that.
But when it gets wider, then the ramp is going to be actually dropping somebody in a mobility device on the grass, which is very challenging.
Yeah, and this image that I have here is a stop where we've actually received call-in complaints from people in wheelchairs who said, I'm being let out into the dirt. And you can see it's a pretty heavily used stop because the grass is totally missing. But at least it's got a light. So we passed that section. And the reason this matters is because there's new federal guidance that came. Anyone in the room familiar with the term PROAC? So it stands for the Public Right-of-Way Access Guidelines. So that was adopted in December 2024. And they said this is now the new standard for every bus stop, whether it's new construction or alteration of an existing bus stop. So everything has to be brought into the new compliance if it's commencing after January 17th of 2025. And so some of what is dictated there is that the accessible vehicle entry and exit has to be upgraded. And so in our case, technically speaking, that's only the front door because that's the door of the bus that has the ADA ramp that folds out. Our metro policy is we ask riders if they are ambulatory to exit the rear door. So really we have pedestrian movement from the front and the back doors on a pretty consistent basis. But at a minimum, according to this federal standard, that front door entrance has to be accessible. And so what that means, this is some screenshots here from the guidance. All transit stops must have that flat paved area that is 5 foot by 8 foot at a minimum at the front door. And so that paved area needs to connect to the sidewalk, and it also needs to connect to a shelter if one is present. So if there's a case where the sidewalk is like 15 feet back from the street, that ADA path has to be flat and connected to the sidewalk. Another important note is that the guidance clearly says that if deficiencies are present, they must be modified and brought into compliance by the entity undertaking the alteration. So like if a city organization or OPPD or anyone else is doing public right-of-way improvements and they happen to come across an area where there is a bus stop, you can't leave it in the condition it's in. So another challenge that I know the engineers are going to be frustrated by, because I read this and was like, oh no. The slope of the boarding area parallel to the street can be the same grade as the street. So if you're on a hill, it's fine for the sidewalk to be slanted. The slope of the boarding area perpendicular to the street should be 1 to 48, which is basically flat, like enough for water to drain, and that's it. So this photo shows 30th Street right near MCC. This is a place where they had asked us to put in a bus shelter. This has been a couple of years ago now, but the challenge that we had is the street curb and the sidewalk are very different. So in that span of probably 5 to 8 feet, it slopes down pretty significantly. So in order to put a shelter here, we'd have to come flat off the curb and then have like an ADA ramp up to sidewalk level. Or the other alternative would be bring the entire sidewalk down to curb height. So it totally changes for any like streetscape designers, the way that you approach the design on a transit street versus a non-transit street. Probably the most effective thing to do is just get that whole sidewalk down to street level. But that has drainage impacts. It has all sorts of design impacts. So this is going to be one that creates a big design challenge going forward. So in terms of how we make these corrections going forward, obviously, we've seen an inventory of quite a few stops that need to be addressed. And just like the ADA laws that came out for the intersections, like that was expected to be implemented over a period of a long time. So again, the guidance just says any existing stop is fine until you touch it, and then it has to be corrected. So that happens a couple different ways: public coordination, private coordination, and then Metro just actively going out and doing the upgrades. So first one, public coordination. This photo is an example of Ames Avenue. There's some safety improvements happening along that corridor right now, some restriping. And so in the process, we coordinated with Public Works and we said where our bus stops are. They added this paved area right here. And so that stop is now in compliance. So thank you, City. And so as we're doing that, we're also referencing our stop inventory to identify if there's lighting missing, other improvements that could be made, crosswalk things to address. So any opportunity that we have to coordinate with the streetscape project, we're offering those types of comments to hopefully integrate all of that at once. OPPD would be another great example where if lights are being moved or reinstalled along the corridor, we would want to place those near the stops if possible, just to add that extra layer of safety for our riders. Private project coordination, got a couple examples here. So anytime new development seeks a permit through the city, we have a chance to review those permits and comment. So this photo here shows the bus shelter at 41st and Hamilton. That was an affordable housing project where the developer said, we know many of our residents are going to use the bus. So we asked for them to kind of extend the curb and leave space for us to put in a shelter with some bike loops. And they were happy to do that. And so we installed the shelter and it was a good partnership there. And then this draft image shows a building that's actually not built yet. It's something that came through the permitting process, again, along a transit corridor. And originally they had the curb line set to have on-street parking here. And we asked them to get rid of one stall and leave space for a bus stop here with the ADA landing zone, and then leave space for a bus shelter as well as a bike share station. So that type of coordination, if we can catch it on the front end with the developer, then they can just have their design come in and leave that space for us. And then lastly, like I said, any opportunity that we have to make improvements, we're going to integrate that into our process as well. So the biggest one coming up right now is our 24th Street corridor study. 24th, if you noticed on the map, had a lot of those dots of stops that need improvement. And so we'll be looking at all different alternatives, potentially orbit on that corridor to be upgraded in the future. And so we're looking forward to that. And then also any like minor stop improvements, like if we have places that need that ADA pad and we know that the city is not coming along to redo the street anytime soon, and it's something that needs to be addressed quickly, then we would go ahead and do that work. So that is all that I have. Be happy to answer any questions and appreciate your time.
Great, thank you.
I think I just want to kind of jump in a little bit and just kind of emphasize some things. So, I mean, obviously we know we've got a lot of bus stops where they need a lot of improvement and they're, you know, everything else. And I think that's important. But I think one thing I just hope everybody really takes away from this is with this new PROAC guidance as of this year, anything that modifies a bus stop, including, you know, whether we would be putting in a shelter or if a road design project adds a right turn pocket that makes us move a bus stop a couple of feet, we're not going to be able to put that bus stop back unless it's fully PROAC compliant. And also in terms of any new line, any new route we would ever start, we're not going to be able to do that unless it's fully compliant, which obviously is going to be quite challenging for us at Metro. But something, you know, especially for those of you in local governments that have transit service, I mean, we really, really want to work closely together to make sure that any project, whether it is you know, an improved, like a safety project or just a road redesign, anything, does not endanger existing bus stops that are grandfathered in, that once we change an inch will no longer be grandfathered in. And I think that's kind of our most immediate pressing concern with all of this is we could even though we've got need for improvement, we could end up in a worse spot if we're not doing that close coordination.
Thanks for that, Lauren.
And that was my.
I'm not sure you know.
I was gonna ask Evan, so I mean, actually, I never heard of PROAC, that's actually learned something new today, thank you for bringing it to my attention. So now that you have this information, this study done, are you going to go out to each one of the municipalities and meet the public works directors and just say, hey, we did this audit, this is what we've seen at bus stops in your community, just making you aware? I mean, like, what's the follow-up to this now?
Sure. So I think it's probably smart, and especially in the case of Council Bluffs, it's a little bit different because we don't have authority to make improvements to your stops, just with the way our contract is set up. So a lot of the Council Bluffs things that we identified, we didn't actually put into our end report because it's, I don't know if you want to speak to that. But yes, there will need to be some careful coordination there. So we'd be happy to do that. And I think to the extent that any person in this room or folks on your teams are aware of upcoming projects and can just flag that for us, I think that would be helpful, just because we don't have the bandwidth to keep up with every upcoming project throughout the region. And we want to make sure we don't get missed with anything.
I think the nuance here, especially with the new PROAG conditions coming in, you may hear of some of these projects, 3R, right? The resurfacing types of projects. They're no longer considered just staying within the right of way. It's considered an alteration, and therefore you must meet ADA guidance, especially on the curb ramps, right? And the sidewalk conditions. And so that is a little bit of a nuance with all this stuff. You know, I think traditionally in the region, we've been kind of accustomed to, hey, we're just gonna resurface this. This is our lane, we're just resurfacing this. But it does impact your corners and your ADA access to those corners, right? Adding sidewalks where sidewalk gaps exist. I think that's a very interesting nuance, right? I think when we think about quick build, and this is something we pushed on with regards to our comprehensive safety action plan, we'd love to see a lot of actions taking place to mitigate some of these crashes early on. However, there are conditions where maybe a temporary bulb out or extension might impact some of the transit. And so I think we need better coordination and understanding of how we treat some of these facilities. Metro is definitely not against safety, put that out there, but I think doing this right really requires us to think through what some of the opportunities lie and what else we're getting into. And factoring that into the early cost of a project, right? Hey, there's the Metro stop here. Let's factor that into our costs. We should add sidewalks to connect to this transit stop or bus stop or whatever. So that's an ounce of prevention.
And I would definitely reiterate, I mean, Metro is not against safety. I mean, we love these projects, especially the ones that are focused around, you know, Vision Zero and reducing speeds and making them safer for pedestrians, because at the end of the day, every single one of our passengers is a pedestrian, and we see that as one of the biggest barriers to be able to use our system. But we do have to be really thoughtful and collaborative when we're doing any of these projects. If we're, like I said, adding a right turn pocket, adding a bulb out, adding maybe a traffic circle, any of those things, 9 times out of 10, that's going to require us to move that stop. And given the vast majority of our current stops would not currently meet these newer PROAG guidance, we would have a really hard time putting them. So I think that's just something we need to be really thoughtful of. I mean, I think the right turn pockets is a great example, because Metro won't, normally we stop before the intersection. We won't stop if you had a right turn pocket in a right turn pocket. We have to either move to the other side of the intersection or before that right turn pocket starts. And once we move it, we can't put that stop back. It's not fully PROAG.
Makes me think about unintended consequences. I hope that USDOT talked to NDOT when they came up with PROAC. Also, I appreciate having this. Carlos's comments remind me that, you know, disaggregating data in the right way is important. You know, and I see Solo's hand raised. Because what it pulled out probably is just the importance of identity when it comes to how people feel moving through communities, right? That example you gave, even like the sidewalk. And the fact that it is a homeowner's responsibility to do that, that's stuff we need to know and be able to be ahead of when we think about what materials we use or who developers are. So that's great information. I think that is super rich. Question online.
Hello, hello.
Here, go ahead.
Yes, thank you. I'm so sorry for the noise behind me. I just want to know if this exercise is going to happen every year just to keep track on any corrections or work that has been done to address any of the discrepancies that were found as part of this well thought project. I think this is the best way to keep quality when it comes to offering best service to transit users. So it'll be important for me to know if this exercise will happen next year, and if there will be a way to compare and say, this is what was addressed, this is what was discussed with jurisdictions, this is the work that was done and accomplished, and this would help prevent any of the safety issues that we have highlighted.
Yeah, so I think it's really important now that we have this baseline to be able to track progress and report back. Personally, I don't want it to be an every year thing because it was a lot of work. But I think probably like 720 staff hours. So
And MAPA staff helped with that too.
yes,
You know, the
I took
meeting.
credit. We pulled in some MAPA folks and said, help us with this effort, which we're very gracious for. But I think probably like a every 5-year timeline would be appropriate to just kind of check in and see what still needs to be done, what areas have been addressed, and anything new that's come up in between.
Yeah, well, and ideally, we don't have to go through and do the whole brand new baseline audit if we're really able to track changes, track progress, have that collaboration, know when, you know, somebody's updating a near a bus stop kind of thing, and able to kind of keep it current as opposed to having to do a new baseline all the time. So it's really gonna depend on how good the communication and collaboration is and how often the baseline's needed.
So will you have a track running where you're addressing this on your own proactively? Like obviously with new builds and stuff, you're gonna try and get in there and do that, but will you be doing like any remediation to current bus stops? Or are you just gonna wait till there's projects and just leave them grandfathered in until you have to make the change?
So, I mean, in some cases, if, you know, we are able to get a grant to maybe add a few bus, we're gonna be trying to add a few bus shelters, those types of things, but the vast majority are gonna be very, very challenging for Metro to address alone. We don't own them. We don't own the property. They're, you know, we have permission to put a sign blade there. Doesn't mean we have permission to modify somebody else's right of way. So it is something that really does require that operation.
And traditionally, like in a lot of the parts in the region, laws are imposed on the private developer, right? So someone wants to build something, they're in charge of placing the sidewalk and maintaining it, right? And so sometimes we come in as cities and different organizations and we do work, and then we have to replace the sidewalk or add additional enhancements where they don't currently exist. And so traditionally, those have been the formal ways of getting some of this work done. I think there are a couple different examples going on throughout the nation. Denver is coming to mind on how to proactively meet and exceed some of these expectations about what do we do with the public right of way and sidewalk connections, since it's such a vital connection to how people access whether it's good services, play, or recreation. It's an important aspect behind that. And so trying to find out what some of these funding mechanisms might be to do that. Obviously, it is much easier to consider it in your early designs and factor it into a cost, right? I don't know what like 1 square of like sidewalk goes for these days, concrete. But in a grand scheme of a $2 million resurfacing package, $100 for a sidewalk seems like a really cheap addition, right? So, you know, things to consider.
Thank you.
Are you gonna present this to T-TAC? I'm just saying, because I think, you're gonna have a lot of public works directors in there, and as they start working through their capital improvement programs, I mean, this would be great information for them to know about. For what Carlos just said, as they're gonna go through their program for rebuilding a road with sidewalks. If we have to extend out a curb or, start pulling out multiple panels of sidewalk, now we're chasing grade. I mean, all those costs matter to the local government project, so. I'm glad to hear you're gonna present to T-TAC. That would be the next audience, I would say, take it to.
Yeah, that was MAPA. They're like, can you do this in 2 weeks?
Okay.
Very nice thing.
Okay, Mike, you can start, you ready. Looks like I have another question, on the Zoom, who else is?
I think he might have just kicked his hand.
No, I would, this is really great. Thanks for sharing this, Evan and Lauren, for the commentary. Just, as you were talking about Metro Next and that being your strategic plan through 2030, how do you see this fitting into maybe what comes next with like the Transit Suitability Index, or maybe some of the work that you're doing in support of kind of coordinating transit investments and development?
Yeah, I think that's a great question, something that we probably need to resolve a little bit further. So just for everybody to know, when we did Metro Next, we worked with MAPA to create a transit suitability index, which really mapped out, what part of town was going to be, in which corridors were going to be most supportive of quality transit, and we're going to be probably most successful in transit. So we looked at things like walkability, we looked at things like density, demographics, things like that. So, clearly when we created that transit suitability index, we looked at things like the presence of sidewalks. This is kind of almost an additional layer on it, especially if we would be talking about, new service to a new area, because this is more of a baseline requirement that is going to go beyond that transit suitability index. So I think it's really going to be probably looking at these in conjunction, but almost parallel in terms of, can we put bus stops on this road as the kind of the first pass, and then also looking at it in terms of its suitability and other indicators of how successful it will be for transit.
Great. Thanks, Mike.
And I don't know if you want to add anything to that, Evan, but that's good.
All right, so you can lower your hand and you got the good headphones. We couldn't hear any noise. You got noise cancellation headphones. You're good to go. Okay, Mike, when you walked in, you saw this handy dandy handout on the table here.
So thank you, Laura, MAPA team, for having me. I'm Mike Gutierrez Madrigal. I am representing the Humanities in Action internship program, the Maverick internship program. I'm here from the College of Arts and Sciences. I am the internship coordinator for our newest internship initiative. I want to provide a little bit of foundation, a little bit of context. If you're not familiar with our program, we're about 2-3 months old. So some faculty members from the English department, history department, the dean's office, our career services team at UNO got together, and they wanted to brainstorm ways that we could continue to professionalize the new cohort of nonprofit professionals and providers, and how we could support their career development here on our campus, specifically students in the humanities. So that team got together, they applied for a Mellon Foundation grant. We were awarded a 5-year, $2 million grant in the end of January, and our team was fully onboarded at the end of May, so we're brand spanking new. But our team got together and we started soliciting funds, and we found matching funds to continue on after that 5 years. So we will be a permanent fixture on UNO's campus, which is something we're really excited to be a part of. So we're focusing on the humanities very strategically. Why? We've noticed that students who are studying world languages, art history, English, Black studies, Latin American and Latino studies, international studies, and the like, we've noticed that these are students who are passionate about better understanding themselves, the world around them, and they seem to naturally have a calling to service and civic engagement. So we strategically decided that we wanted to work with these students because in their curriculum training, they're already learning how to ethically research, critical thinking, data analysis, creating and crafting compelling narratives. So these are students we were excited to work with and partner with and help support their professional development and help provide them with internship opportunities out in the community in the nonprofit sector. So this is why we strategically focus on these students. Those funds that we received from the Mellon Foundation and other private partners, community partners, allows us to collaborate with area nonprofits in the Omaha Metro, as well as other parts of Nebraska and parts of Iowa, to provide funding to these organizations for an intern. So what we're looking for is partners in the area that would love to support the professional development of a UNO humanities student and having UNO fund that internship experience. What that allows, we feel, is our partner doesn't have to worry about the cost associated with this mentorship, and they get to focus primarily on how do we support this professional development? How do we mentor this student? How do we help them understand what does it look like to work in public works and public policy? What does it look like to work for a nonprofit? What does it look like to serve mission? Right? So that's what we're hoping to provide our partners. In addition, we will be providing our students wraparound academic support so that you know that your student intern is going to have a point of contact at the university level every single step of the way. What are we looking for? We're looking for a partner who is excited to promote the humanities. We're looking for a partner who's excited to professionalize our students, to mentor our student, and somebody who can help provide meaningful and a consistent work experience to our student. We want our students, for all intents and purposes, to be a member of your team, for them to work alongside you and learn. What does it look like to solve dynamic problems? What does it look like when you have two professionals who might see who might have a different perspective on how to address an issue, and how do they find that compromise? What does it look like to work with a funding source? What does it look like to have some of those administrative roles or to plan events, right? Or what does it look like to work with a client and serve community and serve mission? We're wanting partners that can help our students experience this alongside them, right? We're hoping to avoid that Hollywood stereotypical idea of an internship, right? Where they're making copies or they're running errands, grabbing coffee. We want them right alongside you, right? Where they're engaging with your mission and in a consistent way every single week of a 15-week semester, right? So we're able to provide funding for an intern for 15 weeks, all for 3 semesters, right? Summer, fall, and spring. What is the student doing? What kind of student can you look forward to engaging with if you decide to partner with us? You will have an undergraduate student in the humanities. They will be at sophomore level or higher, right? So you're going to have a student who's been around the block a little bit. It's not going to be a first semester student. And we did that also intentionally because we want to make sure that our students have the bandwidth to understand what is an internship, right? We want to reframe how our students in the College of Arts and Sciences, in the College of Communication, Fine Arts, and Media view an internship. This is not just a 3-credit experience that you get to participate in to graduate. This is a job. This is something you can leverage on a resume, in a cover letter, in an interview. This is something that you can potentially turn into a career that you're passionate about and excited about, where you're going to make a difference every single day. So you're going to see students at the undergraduate level who are the most polished because we're working with them before, during, and after. We're helping meet with those students before you even see them as an intern. We're going to work them through a pre-internship checklist where they're polishing that resume, polishing that cover letter. We're going to be checking in with them and say, hey, do you have the bandwidth for this right now? But then we're also going to help meet the student where they're at. We're going to provide wraparound support in terms of interviews and some of that soft skill coaching so that they're ready to work with you and enter into that workplace, right? We're also, like I mentioned, they'll be having academic wraparound support every step of the way. So they'll take a class alongside this. This will allow our students every week that they're working with you to also reflect. What am I learning? What did I see in staff meeting today? What did I do this week that I didn't do last week, right? Is this making me reimagine what a career could look like in the nonprofit realm, right? We want to help students realize that the humanities, right, is not just the content that is so great, it's the skills you're learning in the classroom, right? And those skills are transferable to any field, right? My bachelor's degree, my master's degree is in history, right? And I'm an internship coordinator, right? Our faculty fellow, right? His degree is in art history, and he's worked in the for-profit and the nonprofit realm. We want to help our students realize that a degree in the humanities, it's viable. It's not just the archives or education, which are also great fields to pursue, but we want to help our students get excited about serving mission, engaging with their communities. So that's why that wraparound support is there every single step of the way to help them reflect on what they're learning. It also provides our students support if they have questions, if they have concerns, right? Some of our students might not have ever had a job before, and we're going to help them, navigate. Well, how do you articulate what hours you need? If you get a flat tire, how do you professionally call in? Or if you're sick, or if you have other needs or questions, how do you do that in the workplace, right? We're working very intentionally with our career services team, our alumni foundation, to also provide professional attire for students who might need it, right? We're also working with them to understand what that professional language looks like, right? What does professionalism look like here versus there, right? So we're going to be meeting our students where they're at to make sure that they're as polished and ready for you, right? So that you can focus on teaching them what does it look like to work in that nonprofit realm, right? And we're also depending on you as partners and as host sites to help coach that professional development, right? Help coach those soft skills, help praise, but also give feedback, right? Because for all intents and purposes, as partners, you'll be their direct supervisors, right? We might be footing the bill, but you're the ones leading and supervising, mentoring our students, right? And then what we're really excited about is this deliverable. At the end of 15 weeks, every student will provide a capstone project, a deliverable of some kind. Now, what that looks like will vary from student to student, right? We want students to articulate what's the great work you did over the last 15 weeks, right? And this will culminate at the end of a semester event, celebration of internships, where all of our students will come together and showcase their work. That might be a poster presentation. That might be a paper. We have some students who are going to be doing a collection of oral histories in different parts of Omaha. They might feature those. And we're going to invite you as partners or host sites to come celebrate your intern, right? And because we are trying to help our students professionalize, we're treating this as a networking event. Our students at this event are going to be engaging with students from all over the metro who participated in internships. So you're going to have students from the Bemis Center, we'll have students from the Durham, we'll have students from Bike Walk, Nebraska, connecting with each other and seeing what does an internship look like here, what's the mission of this organization, and we want them to help build that professional network, right? So that's going to be our student experience every single step of the way. What kind of work can they be doing, right? Our students are from the humanities, and we would like to mirror that as much as possible, right? We want their work, we want their responsibilities to highlight the great things that they're learning in a classroom setting. This is not an exhaustive list, right? But these are just some ideas of some of the things our students are going to be working on in upcoming semesters, right? So we have students who are gathering data and crafting that into a compelling narrative. Right, we have students who are going to be doing archival and curatorial work, some event planning, right? We have students who are going to be doing social media management, administrative duties, right? Some the content or the copy for a website, right? Our students are excited to get out and use their skills, and we're really looking for partners who can help elevate those, right? So these are the types of work our partners or our students could do if you should host one of our interns. How do you host an intern? Okay, we are actively taking applications. If you are interested in hosting an intern that's funded by UNO, like I mentioned, we are a brand new team, right? Coming in early this summer. So we're operating on a little bit of a longer runway, right? We're looking to place students into these positions in the spring of 2027. We're running a very small pilot this fall semester that opens up here in 2 weeks. So we're looking to really launch and expand this upcoming spring, right? So the first step is if you're interested, it's also on that flyer that I provided, but here's our QR code for our host site application. You're more than welcome to go ahead and scan this, click on this, and let us know if you're interested in partnering or collaborating. And I want to be clear, hosting an intern is not the only way we are looking to partner, right? If you're interested in mentoring students, if you want to go ahead and host an information session about your organization, or about civic engagement, or about what professionalism looks like, or about your journey in the nonprofit sector, please feel free to let us know. We're open to those career development seminars. We're open to connecting you with students. If you have job opportunities or events that you would like us to promote, this is also a great way for us to help our students engage with the area and see all the great things that are happening in our city, in Nebraska, and in the area. So please feel free to fill this out if you are interested in having that conversation. How it'll work is myself or one of my team will reach out to you directly, and we'll be able to set up a time to connect and learn about your mission, learn about ways we might be able to collaborate. So that's kind of that first step. After that, if you are going to host an intern, we'll talk about creating your job posting and how we can promote it to our students. So that way they can fill that out and get working with you in the spring or in a future semester. I wanted to be mindful of time, so I'm sorry if I went a little quick there. Any questions, thoughts, concerns?
I have a question.
I have an answer.
So when you're talking about the 3 15 weeks semesters, is that one student in one internship?
Yes.
For that whole time? Okay.
Yeah, we're looking to build sustainability, right? Like I mentioned, we're grant funded for 5 years, but then we have other funding that'll be provided so that we're a permanent fixture. We're not hoping to provide a site, an intern for a semester and say, hey, thanks, see you later. No, we want to provide you with one intern every semester, starting in the spring until the end of time, right? We really want to help to build that sustainability and make sure that our students and our campus are learning about the great things that are going on here in the city. So yes, you'll get an intern per semester.
And it could go longer.
There's the potential to go longer if you're looking for longevity. So if Sarah's doing great work for you and you would like, hey, can we have Sarah for a second semester? We're open to those conversations. Our grant right now wants us to prioritize one and then move on, primarily to provide more access, right, to as many students as possible and as many roles as possible. However, if you do want that longevity, we're open to that conversation and seeing what that could look like for a student. Because there's a grade component, because students are taking a class alongside that, it allows our faculty to kind of get creative and how do we make this class unique if they're taking it a second time, right? So we are open to those conversations.
Did you say how many hours per week?
Yes, so this is an internship. So we do anticipate our students, you know, they might have other classes, they might be having other jobs, other responsibilities. Our funding allows for them to work up to 20 hours a week, or 150 hours in a single semester. So if you want it to be, you know, around the same every week, it's about 10 hours a week, in a 15-week semester. Now, part of being a professional is articulating your schedule, negotiating that, navigating that with your direct supervisor. So we're going to coach our students on how to articulate what your schedule needs are, but we're going to let the host site and the student navigate what's the best fit for them. I'm not going to dictate, hey, you know, Bike Walk Nebraska, Sarah's going to work with you Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays. Nope. Bike Walk Nebraska and the intern will work that out. And the other thing I want to clarify is you're hiring the intern. We're not placing it. Okay, so although we're asking for a job posting that'll be up on our Handshake and our people admin job board, you are going to be the ones reviewing the applications. You'll be the ones that are going to interview. We want our students to get practice interviewing. How do you market yourself, right? How are you genuine, but also highlighting your strengths and where you're looking to go in a career? We want our students getting that practice, and we want it from you all. We want it from our partners, right? The other reason we very intentionally want our partners to select the intern, right? You know your mission better than I do, right? You know your team dynamic better than I do. We want to make sure that you are getting the best possible placement. So while we're managing the applications, you will receive every single student who applied to your program or your position, and you're going to be the one dictating who do we interview, who do we say yes, this is who we want. We're just going to be doing the HR, the background check, the HR paperwork, because it'll be a student worker. But you're doing all of the other normal processes that you would do if you were going to hire somebody as part of your team.
If you sign on to this, is there a minimum contractual obligation period?
Great question. So we do ask our partners to sign an MOU, memorandum of understanding. Our business team uses the phrase, this is a loose document. Essentially, all it really articulates is that as a host site, you will provide the mentorship, the engaging and meaningful work environment, and we'll provide the academic support. We'll provide the intern should you find one that you want to hire, and we'll provide the funding, right? That is good for a year at a time, right? But our partners can tear that up or edit it at any time, and there's language in that document that establishes it. It just allows us, because there's funding involved, to articulate who's paying for what.
Yeah,
And there's
I'd
no
like to
financial.
see the terms and conditions if that's something that.
Yeah, we can definitely provide a draft before we move forward.
Okay.
And like I said, that is an editable document. It's a living, breathing document that the partner can change at any time. And that's something that we're definitely able to accommodate. Of course.
How does the employer intern match happen? So like,
Yeah.
as the employer, I would say, hey, I'm gonna take on a summer intern or intern for the semester to help us out with housing development.
Yeah.
And then if you would then show that advertisement to different interns and who have interest in that, or
So we-
bring us a broad pool of people to pick from.
Yeah, so we vigorously recruit for these positions. So if we get a job posting from a partner decides to move forward, we'll get that job posting. We'll have a 2-month every semester. We'll include a 2-month application window. So we are going to be recruiting that social media, email blast, text blast. We'll go to every college fair available. And then we'll also share that posting with you so you can promote it, right? As well on your social media, your webpage, however else you want to promote that. Once that application window ends, what we'll do is we'll send you a PDF zip file of all the applicants that you received. We'll give you about a month to review, interview, and then once you say, hey, we'll hire Bobby, right? You let us know, and then we'll go ahead and get Bobby going on the HR paperwork, and they're good to start in the first week of the semester. They don't have to, we'll go based off your needs, but that's when they would start. And during that partnership meeting or that, collaboration meeting, seeing if this is a good fit for everybody involved, we provide dates, deadlines of every single semester. And those deadlines stay the same from now until the end of time. So consistently, okay, this is when the application opens for the fall, this is when it closes. This is when I need to be interviewing, so our partners can plan. In terms of how does the matching work, right? And I love that phrase matching, that's exactly what we envision. So how it'll work is, let's say you get 10 applicants. Like I said, you have the autonomy to decide who you want to interview. If you want to interview 8 of those 10, great. And then you'll provide us with a ranking. And you'll say, you know what, we interviewed 8, we can really see that 5 are good fits. You rank them, and we will never place a student that you didn't okay. Right? We're asking the students to do the same. Hey, you interviewed at these 5 places, rank them for us. And then we just do that matching. So if Bobby's your number 1 choice, I'm calling Bobby and saying, hey, is this a good fit for you? You listed them as number 1, and boom. If Bobby didn't list you as number 1, that's okay. We're just going down your second. You will never get a student that you didn't articulate having an interest in.
Okay.
Right? We want to make sure that it's a good fit for you as well as the student.
And I'm sorry if you've already said this and I didn't hear you, but in here it talks about really focusing on nonprofit organizations. How much flexibility is there on that?
It depends on it's kind of a case-by-case basis, right? So we can
Most of us are governmental organizations.
We can
not
do that.
nonprofits.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah. It's the for-profit that it gets a little, we have to kind of navigate a little bit, but no, government entities, civic engagement, that's what we're hoping our students in nonprofit realm. We're hoping our students to engage with this. So yeah, government entities completely fine.
We've got one more question online, Mike.
Well, I just had to pull out this desktop background here. But I just love that we were able to make this connection. Mike, thanks so much for lending time to this, because just to build on Lauren's kind of recent question there, I think this is just a tremendous opportunity to expose people to careers in public service and mission-driven nonprofits in a tangible way. I think people around the table at RPAC do a great job of connecting and hiring great staff and great teams, but oftentimes those aren't direct career paths that people take into public service. And so I think just giving an opportunity to expose folks to all this stuff's that's going on is great. And I love that UNO and that your team, Mike, is building in the sustainability of this long term, so that it isn't just kind of a one and done thing, but that this might be something in projects or bodies of work that can grow over the years. So thank you. But I was really excited when we met with your team, and was excited to get in front of this group.
Thank you, Mike.
saying your semester starts?
Yes, so our spring semester start will be January 11th. This summer, it's kind of a moving target because we break it up into sections, just like most universities will do. But in the summer, you'll also get 15 weeks. In the fall, it'll be late August. You'll also get 15 weeks with that. And again, you'll articulate the schedule with the student. The earliest they can start is that first week of the semester. But you know, if you have we have a partner that we're working with for this upcoming spring semester. And because of some of their staffing needs, they're gonna need to wait till February. We can accommodate that. It's our hope that students are getting consistent work. We're okay to talk about scheduling and what's a good, you know, launch point for you and your team. As long as they're not doing the entire internship in 1 month, we're okay. We want to space it out. We want to give them a meaningful experience where they're really getting to see kind of what the day-to-day of a nonprofit or the government or civic engagement looks like.
Saul's got a question online also.
Yeah, I think this is a great opportunity for a lot of students to really connect with what is really happening within those nonprofits or governmental organizations. But at the same time, I have to say that a lot of the government organizations that we serve at MAPA, they come with, I mean, we have engineers and many people working with engineering backgrounds, and sometimes understanding the importance of the qualitative assessments or really learning the social component of the work they do might be a bit challenging, but I do hope that this model works. I will be trying to connect with you as soon as I get an opportunity to really learn more about this new model, and really like to do more, like even write a paper or something on this project, because I believe that this is a great opportunity for the students with humanities background.
Thank you so much. Yeah, we're exploring what works, right? We're building the plane while we're flying it, and that's why we're engaging with partners, and that's why there'll be several touch points throughout the semester where we're checking in with you, seeing how is it going. We're not trying to build a one-size-fits-all model, right? We understand that different partners have different needs, and we're open to those conversations of editing things to better fit your needs so that you can better mentor our students. Right, but we're really excited to have the opportunity to help funnel in and create a pipeline of future cohorts of nonprofit public service professionals. So we're really excited for this opportunity.
And we also we've just started doing, we've held one and we've got an upcoming one. We do a speed networking event as well with partnering with UNO, and that's more of on our infrastructure side kind of pipeline for those careers. But just thank you for your overall cooperation on this. I mean, UNO as a general partner, we appreciate it.
Any last minute questions for Mike? All right, thank you. Appreciate your time. All right, move on to the next item on the agenda, the regional freight plan. Jim? You're up.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
All right, great. Yep, we're good to go. Thank you. Good morning, everybody. My name is Jim Horner. I'm a transportation planner with MAPA, and I'm leading our regional freight plan. And here to give you a quick introduction. Word of warning, I do have graphs and charts and maps. It's something you're not ready for. But here we go. Here's what we're going to talk about. This is our first regional freight plan that we've developed for the region, and I'm really excited about it. So we've learned a lot. Just got done talking with folks at BNSF actually, and that's why I stepped in late. But there's a lot to learn. There's a lot of coordination across a lot of the work that we do. I'm sad that I missed Evan's presentation. Really looking forward to hearing it at TTAC. But things that we do are hard, and our goal is to make it easier to identify areas where we have opportunities that we can help you. And things that we focused on very recently is just finding the funding, finding the way to make it simpler to get to where we all want to be. I'm going to talk about why we're doing it, the identified need, the schedule. It's pretty quick. What we've done for stakeholder engagement so far, get into some data, and then really some next opportunities where we'll come back and talk here later this fall. So We received a $2 million grant to do project prioritization. As an MPO, we have a requirement to, as we take these transportation dollars in, identify the best projects, rack and stack basically. And to do that, we have to have the data to make those decisions. And so freight is an area that we've identified we don't understand as well as we should as a planning organization. So we're very focused on that. So that's this transformative regional investment prioritization system, or TRIPS. Right in line with that will be our next update to our metropolitan transportation plan in 2030. And a lot of what goes into our future forecasting comes from our travel demand model. So that's an important component there. The data-driven decision-making is done at the state level. There's a requirement for them to develop a state freight plan. Iowa just released theirs today, and Nebraska's in the process of been updating it. So our planning is in parallel with or informed by these plans, which is really helpful, but we want to make it regional. We want to make it useful for each of our member jurisdictions. So again, we'll look at the data, we'll bring it together, we'll do a needs assessment and find areas to grow. But the goal is to have actionable strategies, policies, or programs that can come out of the plan that you can refer to in a grant application. So a couple of things as far as need goes. This is the freight analysis framework is a national level database. They go out and survey folks that are in the commodity business, and then they take a look at how the transportation network works. And they say, here's the baseline year, here's an out year, conveniently enough, 2050 is the year, so it lines up with everything that we do. And they break it apart by region. Historically, it's been at the state level. It's difficult, if not impossible, to glean something useful out of that. So what this is showing is called our FAF region, FAF zone. And so it's not the entirety of our region, and sorry, Chris, it doesn't involve Iowa. So Iowa is at the state level, this national level comes at the state. We're working with partners to disaggregate and really just make this more consistent data that's available to you as well as for our planning. We are tasked with working with the states to identify critical urban freight corridors. These are kind of that last step. This isn't the interstate, it's not the highway, but this is that road that serves the railroad yard, or the road that is going to serve that transload facility that you're looking to work on. And it sets aside, basically makes federal funding for freight available for that roadway as well. And we know flooding response is really important. The I-29, basically that risk of flooding does put a lot of truck traffic into local jurisdictions, and so we're interested in that. And then safety planning, BNSF and NDOT are partnering on a grade rail crossing safety study from Omaha to Lincoln. And so that's a really good opportunity to take a look at everything at once, but just making sure that we're good partners and everybody is safe in the work that they do. So here's where we're at. We're looking to have a plan in March of next year. We'll put it out for public comment in January, kind of working back. We're midway through community engagement and data development. A little bit of, as everything goes, we're kind of a little behind. That stakeholder really is a conversation that we've continued from May through now. We do have a public outreach event, which I'll highlight on a slide later, that's ongoing, and we'll pull from that kind of a needs assessment from that data, from that public input, and come back to you in October to kind of talk some strategy development. So we've had a great opportunity, all the folks that we talk with are great, but we have some novel conversations, as a transportation planner talking with State Patrol and something as focused in freight, you learn a lot. And so we pulled a lot of information in and just really helpful. The next step will be taking all that information, putting it in something that's actionable, and coming back to you with strategies. But if you have an interest and you haven't spoken to me about freight, please reach out and we'll talk. Okay, so the Metro Freight profile, a lot of big data. We have a street light license, so that lets us take a look at anonymized vehicle data and as well as truck data. And that's kind of a moving target every month. It seems like they're releasing something new, some new tool. So the team continues to look at it. But we'll talk through kind of this bigger forecasting data. That's hard to read, so I'm gonna skip it. But all of this to say, a lot of the focus that we've had is typically gone trucks on our highway network. We're now taking a much closer look at pipelines and rail, at kind of that these points where they merge as transload facilities in particular are important. They're growing business and industry in our region. We want to understand that as best. Okay. On the left is freight flows by direction, and there's just some terminology that they use, but this is in tonnage. 2024 is that left-hand side, 2050 is the right. So first off, of course, there's a pretty dramatic growth in freight volumes within our region, and then it's split down at the bottom in 4 areas. So that dark green is inbound. Think about that truck coming on I-80, coming into our region, maybe passing through, maybe stopping somewhere. We do see a lot of through region travel. So they're on our interstates, on our highways, just passing through. That outbound would be, say somebody's developed something and we're putting something on a truck or on a train that's leaving our region as a commodity. And then there's that within Omaha, and we do a lot of movement of freight. I mean, as far as looking at pure cities, we do a lot of storage, warehousing in our region, and we do a lot of just moving goods back and forth, maybe to produce something, maybe as part of that an industry process. And then with the rest of Nebraska, that's just a name of how we split it out. So when we talk about our region, it's that those 6 counties, or it's the rest of the state. And then by value for that as well. So we do tend to carry a lot of heavier things that maybe not worth as much. So again, when we compare ourselves to the region, we are providing the service in a lot of ways, but not necessarily something where there's a lot of support to as much, I guess, support to our GDP. Okay. Another tricky one, we also talk about by mode. So the top one should say truck, my label's gone. Rail and pipeline growth. These are just over time by tonnage or value. So it's a pretty significant growth in all 3 of those areas. And growing by each. So we talk about truck traffic a lot, and honestly, when we started this plan, that's what I thought I was going to focus on. But really, by volume, by dollars, rail is growing at a slightly greater rate, but pipeline is huge. So a lot of these, in particular, the ethanol plants and the bringing in of things to serve those plants or shipping out the commodity is a pretty significant growth area. And so the split then just takes all of those things and we say, what are the modes that are, what's the relative importance of all those modes? And so that pipeline goes so much higher, it brings down truck, rail, and air, even though there's growth overall, that split does shift to pipeline. And I don't know what that means yet, but it's useful to have that data. All right, finally, this is key commodities and percent growth from 2024 to 2050 by mode. So on the left, the truck commodities. We move a lot of transportation equipment, actually, and that's a growing area. Chemicals, everything from that ethanol production that we talked about, but just shipping of chemical goods in particular. USDOT just put out the National Roadway Safety Strategy update, and one of the things that they highlight is how do we carry safely these hazardous materials. So something we'll take a look at as well as we can. And then what we expect from being agricultural states. But on rail, natural sands is a huge growth area, and that's kind of one of those things, that we talk about. It's a heavier good. And down the line, unfortunately, I'm covering up that last one. But and some of this is going to change too. I mean, even over the course of the starting the plan and the interviews, we've had everything from the rising costs of fuel that's shifting goods and services from truck to rail. So there are short-term things that have impacts as well. Okay, this was really interesting too. what we found is we basically trade with ourselves. So a lot of the trade that comes in and out of our region is either to Nebraska, to Iowa, or in this case, we did see Kansas as well. And then there's the, by, a much smaller percentage, goods and services do go all the way out to some of these ports where we're maybe even shipping international. Even more pronounced, left-hand side is inbound, right-hand side is outbound. So tonnage by value, it's really pretty significant that a lot of what leaves our region stays within the Nebraska, Iowa area. All right. Shifting gears to measurement. So what you're looking at here from blue to kind of that red is more significant slowing of trucks. So this is the truck travel time reliability index that looks at how long it takes a vehicle to get somewhere as you pull out those speeds. And so we would typically look at this only on the interstate. The teams pulled up, so we have an ability to look at this primarily our national highway system, along with a couple other roadways, and so we can work with our partners and better understand what's causing those slowdowns. Some cases they might not be slowdowns. This is just it's a relative measure. So if people are able to speed in an area, then even if you're slowing down, so there's it's balanced with safety and understanding kind of what that need is and how we can work a truck bottlenecks generally. Directly in line with that is of course safety. So these are crashes involving a truck, and injury would be the yellow, serious or fatal injury shown in red, and they pretty much correlate with where we see larger truck volumes, see more of those crashes. All right, almost done. In September, we'll go back into stakeholders. I would see that going through your meeting here in October, and then if we're good, we'll have our online survey back up at that same time, and I can share that with you for our strategies. It might shift a little bit to the right, but regardless, we'll make sure that's information that you all receive. All right, if you'd like to take a snapshot of that QR code, or we've got the URL at the bottom, if you could please share this. Our uptake on the survey hasn't been as much as we'd hoped, so we'd really like to get that input. Pretty intuitive, pretty easy website to use. So there's a set of survey questions that you can put as many points on the map based by category, and give us some commentary there as well. Thank you for your time and listening to what we're working on. Again, we're really excited about this. There's just a number of really novel planning activities we're able to take on that we're in the middle of. So we're excited about it, but we're only going to be as successful as we can be if we get the information and planning needs from you. So please, again, don't hesitate to reach out.
Thank you, Jen. Anyone have any questions for him?
If you could send out the link to the survey,
Yep.
that might be helpful.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah.
Jim, I have a question for you. Obviously, in council loves our entire interstate system that we built.
Yep.
So the study comes back, says we need to redesign it. That's not going to happen.
Yep.
But I guess I am not a transportation planner, but what would you anticipate that local governments would be able to pull from this study once it's done to make what types of decisions?
Yeah, so I think there will be some bigger strategies when we look at just when you talk those huge volume changes in trucks or in rail. There might be some of the bigger conversation, but I think the state freight plans are going to capture more of the interstate things. I think in some of the conversations that we've heard, rail crossings are a real easy one, but they're not easy. Each individual jurisdiction, I'm sure, finds that working with the railroad, working with landowners, all of that is tricky. We would hope to kind of standardize, give some best practice, for example, on how to do it. But we have a lot of older rail crossings. We have a lot of older rail underpasses that would need modified. They'd be expensive, but I think when we look at safety in particular, a lot of the railways, especially in Sarpy County, have been pretty nice green fields, and they're going to have development right up next to them. So kind of that, how do we plan for development next to rail? How do we plan for, understanding what those transportation operations will shift if you put in a new transload facility, for example, and one of the comments this morning that I really appreciated was, if you look at a development site, I think it's easy to get focused in on something, spread it out and say, you know, what they talked about was, I want to know what's going to happen even a mile away from that development. So it's kind of that larger perspective. So I would say that would be it. We understand that a plan helps support grant applications, though, or just, so if there's something in your comprehensive plan updates, for example, that would benefit from us maybe taking a deeper dive, a look at, that's what we would want to capture. We're not going to solve all the world's problems. A lot of them will probably say, you need to keep on looking at this, you need to, but providing some focus in that, so that we can prioritize and set aside funding if needed, or help, especially projects, you know, have that useful information that would support a good application for grant person.
That's all I appreciate.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, sorry, so Fremont, is with their inland port authority is really looking to build out that, you know, acreage that they have. And are talking to a lot of different rail developers at this point in time. Is there an opportunity to access some of this existing data on the rail volumes and the type of product and growth forecast? Is that something that's available now for people to look at, or?
Yeah, so I should have gone a little bit more in detail on that stakeholder coordination. Both MAPA and MDOT have coordinated with all of with Fremont and the Omaha Inland Port Authority. And we do look forward to talking with Bellevue's as well. So yeah, we realize that is going to be that growth area. And so we have worked with them. I would say that's probably going to be more contained. Any specific changes would probably be more on the Nebraska State Freight Plan level, but we anticipate any kind of transload facility that goes in there is going to increase truck traffic on Highway 275 in particular into Omaha. So it has a regional impact that we need to plan for.
So can we look at it? Any of that granular data at all? Is that accessible?
Yeah, absolutely. And if there are specific things that you would be looking for, we'd be happy to work with you directly. But they are finalizing the freight profile right now. And so we'll take a look at it. It'll be a document with narrative and the graphs and charts that you showed, but the underlying data, it would be something we could share as well. And we'll have to work with a consultant to best understand how to do that for you, but happy to do that.
All right, we'll move on. Thank you, Jeff.
Yeah, appreciate you.
Very informative. All right, on to other business. So these are our Heartland 2050 committee updates. I don't see Ashley in the room, but is there an update for engagement?
I wonder if Saul will.
Sure thing. I think I can give you an update on that. Let's see, just when it comes to the engagement in the Housing and Development Committee, the next meeting is gonna be held next Tuesday on August 11th. And we're gonna hear from Jessica Schurman, who works for Partners of Livable Omaha. She leads this great organization in Omaha. The presentation will be examining how this approach of a new model of housing that they are pushing on at this point can increase housing choices, support gentle infill development, and provide flexible housing options for people at different stages of life. So if you want to learn more about what this nonprofit is doing, I know that they have partnered with the School of Architecture at Lincoln, at the University of Omaha Lincoln, and they are working on this new model of housing, and that will be what the meeting is going to be focused on. When it comes to infrastructure, I do not know if Chris Rowling is in the room at this point, but if he's not there, I can certainly help you with that as well.
No, he wasn't able to join us today.
Okay, well, we just had a meeting last October 7th. I'm sorry, we just had a meeting 2 days ago, and we had the opportunity to meet with former Councilwoman Juanita Johnson and Councilman Ron Hogg and learn from them as to what challenges they see when it comes to infrastructure topics. And we had a very informative session. We learned a lot. We are currently as committee trying to develop a one-page resource for public officials that do not have a strong background on engineering careers. We want to make sure that there is a way for us to support their work, and for that reason, we just begun having these conversations with public officials and asking them questions. What is it that you wish you had known prior to your time as public official? We also had asked them, what is it exactly that you might need more help with in order to help you or expedite the process for some of the infrastructure decisions that you are to face as part of your work. These dialogues, I think, will help us understand more as to how we can better support these jurisdictions and make sure that we have a resource available to them. At the same time, I want to invite you all. The upcoming meeting on October 7th is going to be focused on the speed networking event that we normally work with UNO and the School of Public Administration. We bring together professionals from different of the jurisdictions that we work with in the field of infrastructure. And we want to connect them with students. We bring students and create opportunity for them to get to know each other, ask questions, and at the same time build relationships that could potentially lead to some internship opportunities as well for the students. So the Speed Networking event was piloted a year ago. We believe that this is a very important opportunity for the Heartland 2050 to provide a way to battle and make sure that we have a resource to address the issue of brain drain within the metro area. And we're currently working to address that as well. Let me see here. I think I have, also when it comes to the natural resources, I do not know if Mr.
No.
Zach is in there, but if he's not there, okay, I can also tell you that when it comes to the natural resources group on October 20th, we will be visiting the Continental Forest. We will have our site visit there. It's going to be a hike. I think we're all excited about that because we want to also know what is being done when it comes to the city of Bellevue and the boundary line with Omaha. We want to learn more about the Continental Forest, what exactly the organization is focused on for the next years ahead. And we're going to be having this site visit. If you would want to attend, please let me know. This is open to all the RPAC members. And by the way, we will be reaching out to those in the field of infrastructure as well, city administrators or city planners that would want to help us on October 7th for the speed networking event. But when it comes to any of our site visit tours, RPAC members are also invited to attend. Do you have any questions at this point?
Any questions? I don't, so that was very thorough. Thank you very much.
Okay, all right. Have a good one then.
All right, last would be housing and development. Joe?
Oh, that's with engagement. So that was the first. So they meet together.
All right. I guess next will be MAPA updates then.
I don't know if I didn't have any that we hadn't talked about. So I was like, oh, I thought I'd open it to the room to staff, but no, okay, yeah. We told you guys enough about us.
Community updates. Community updates? Yes.
Yes, so Omaha Public Power District is doing our integrated systems planning. It's our 5-year plan that we do. So we do it every 5 years. And there is a tile on opbdcommunityconnect.com for the public to go out and take a survey about our upcoming system planning and what the public would like to see in terms of generation resources and load and capacity. So I'd like to invite all of our partners to go out there and take a look at it, take the survey, or feel free to give me feedback on what you need. What we're really looking for is if you all are going to have any major loads, I would say over 5 megawatts that are coming up, please let us know. We want to plan accordingly for the growth. And even if you have prospective projects that you can't discuss, but you think it's going to go through, please work with our economic development team to give them that information so that we can plan accordingly and have enough power for everyone. So please go out and take the survey, oppdcommunityconnect.com.
Any other updates? Yeah.
City of Plattsmouth down there, we're, our new sewer treatment plant, wastewater treatment plant is online now. Our, hookup to MUD is still in the works for our water. We're in the process of decommissioning the old sewer wastewater treatment plant. On the water side, we've got like one pump just kind of limping along, keeping us with water right now. But just the fact that both those major systems were taken out by the flood, and that we've been able to get everything up and going with minimal disturbance, you know, that's just been really good, so.
I'm assuming you guys upsize it to allow for additional growth of the community?
Correct,
Okay.
correct. And it was located up out of the floodplain up there off Highway 75. So that opened up a, we did a Highway 75 corridor study now and kind of readdressing some of our planning there. And, you know, even all the way down to just walkability over to Hy-Vee from some of the new apartments and things like that. So it's ongoing. So, yeah.
That's exciting. Anyone else? Well, I'll go. Last week we had our first public workshop for our Elevate CB 2050 comprehensive plan. Very well attended. Jim, I saw him come out. I would say overall the community is pretty excited about this planning document. It's kind of a dual study. One is our overall comprehensive plan, and then the other one is our downtown master plan. So this first public workshop solely focused on our comp plan. At the end of August, we're going to have another workshop that's solely focused on the downtown plan. And then as we continue to progress towards the end, the last two meetings will kind of merge into like one document. But overall, I would say the community input has been very positive. I'm enjoying the experience so far, and I hope it continues to move as it currently is. But Trent, you all are welcome to attend our workshops and provide feedback if you can't make it. We do have a project website where you can go out and take surveys. You know, we'd love to hear other people's thoughts, visions, ideas, you know, impressions of Council Bluffs, even if you don't live in Council Bluffs. I mean, all that input matters as we continue to move the process to create this plan. So that's my exciting news.
What about your observation tower? How's that coming?
It's coming along. Hopefully it'll be opened up in the next few weeks. We just have to get some of the warranty documents and the legal paperwork signed so that when we take it over, we know who's liable for what and who's not liable for. That's where it's at. Construction's pretty much done. So
Exciting. Exciting to see it over there.
it is. All right. Well, being that we have a quorum, I don't know if we need to.
Oh, we just asked for public comment, just so that you guys are all here, so. Just our next RPAC meeting is right at the beginning of October, right before our annual meeting, for our council of officials, which you are all invited to attend. That'll be an evening event in Mills County. We'll get some information out about that soon. Just finalizing our speaker, but that's our annual MAPA meeting. We love to see you all there. We love to celebrate. We'll be handing out our couple awards as well as we do every year, and we think it's a good time. We'll be giving out the new annual report, your calendars for next year already. We're thinking about that. So that's our upcoming stuff.
Excellent. Well, thank you everyone for coming out. We'll see you in the next RPAC meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
That's all.
Bye.
We do expect